It's a problem that we have to deal with. I know there are a lot of people who would like to think that this will just go away, that if we just ignore it, we won't have to worry about it, but that's no longer a possibility. Your children and future generations, even if you don't have kids, this really matters because your children are being brainwashed into a cult of critical race theory, or CRT. They are being taught to despise their country, to be embarrassed by its history, and yes, even to be ashamed of whiteness if they are white. This on Fox News right now. A New York City father went viral after pulling his daughter out of the Brearley School after 7 years, shared new details about the elite school's left-wing culture in a new interview. We already do a horrific job in this country, Andrew Gutman said, teaching history, and now we're going to make that 10 times worse. We're going to eradicate that. Our country doesn't survive not teaching history and civics, and it sure as hell doesn't survive teaching our children to hate their country and their history. Left-wing activism was the norm at the school, according to Gutman, who said family were pressured to advocate for Black Lives Matter. Friends, these individuals who are pushing all this stuff, it's important for you to recognize they share the ethos of communists. Now, I understand that the rejection of this, the guffaws from the Democrat left, oh, yeah, sure, we're just like Stalin or Mao. We are going to take all property and hold it in common. No, they're not able to do that yet. But their approach to intellectual pursuit, the way that they deal with argument and dissent, is very much the same. The way that they shut down ideas, their notion that if you disagree with them, that is in and of itself proof of your deficiency, that all comes out of the Marxist playbook. Gutman, this father here, goes on. He says, the pressure to conform is so intense that if you stay silent, you're racist. You have to be an activist. If you're not an activist for anti-racism, for Black Lives Matter, you are racist. You are a bad person. You are an oppressor. You're not doing the right thing. This is what's going on all across the country. The Brearley School, I know, I'll tell you this, my high school sweetheart was a student at Brearley, so I know Brearley very well. My prom date, not junior prom, that was Ivanka. Yes, I know, some of you are laughing, but it's actually true. Senior prom, my date was a Brearley student. She was my girlfriend, my first real high school girlfriend. And I know that institution, and it has always been left-wing, but very elite at the same time. It is funny, isn't it, to see these schools that are putting out statements that sound like they were written by, Ibram X. Kendi or whatever the guy's name is, when they're really being written by Thurston Howell III. They don't call them headmasters anymore. They call them head of school. The same way that you can't have a master bedroom anymore. Now it's a primary bedroom. I wonder if they're going to have to change the Russell Crowe movie from Master and Commander to Primary and Commander. I mean, when does the madness stop? The other side cares more. The other side pushes harder, and they're relentless. That's why they keep winning. I understand that we have this limited government, tricorn hat, oh, leave me alone. I don't want to engage. I just want to be off the grid and, have my food stored up in preparation. By the way, nothing wrong with that, but you do have to deal with the society around you if you're in America. There is no private island you can go to somewhere where the left-wing Marxist maniacs do not influence your life and are going to do it more and more unless you actually fight back against it. We have to engage here. We have to take action in response to what is just clear ideological brainwashing. This is what they're doing. They're doing it to your kids because that's when people are least able to push back on authority. And that's also when the synapses in your brain, that's also when the functioning of your cognition are most easily molded. So this is all on purpose. I mean, if you thought it was bad, it used to be, when I was in grammar school, yeah, we sang the Pledge of Allegiance. I went to a Catholic school, but we sang the Pledge of Allegiance, and we were patriotic, and we loved America, and we learned that, we were the good guys in a lot of different wars and a lot of different big moments in history. And then you got to college, and all of a sudden you had all these commies running around that were idolizing Karl Marx and were talking about radicalism and revolutions in American society and how it's all about ending the patriarchy and dealing with white culture and white supremacy and all this stuff. And we thought that maybe people could get through that without being affected by it, without believing this nonsense, like it would be a passing phase. The same way that people think it's normal to drink 5 or 6 days a week in college, have beer with almost every meal, and not understand that that's actually an alcohol abuse issue and it's not fun or cute or good, and something that I wish I had known when I went to school, and that I wish I could tell everybody else going off to school. It is possible to drink too much even in your 20s. So I look at all this and I realize that people assume that college kids would grow out of it, but no. Now you have people running these companies. Now you have people who are making determinations at the highest level of the United States government and of our culture who are openly radical, openly Marxist, and want to teach your children that they live in a world of racial hierarchy. But in this hierarchy, whiteness is something for which people should be sorry and ashamed. You see, the racial framework that I and conservatives want us to live in is one in which race is as important in our characterizations of one's, more morality, decency, worth as a person. Race is like, hair length or hair color or something, something that no one cares about, doesn't matter, has no meaning. We're all human beings. We're all equal. That's the society we want to live in. That is the opposite of what is being taught to children in school now. Children who are too young or in their formative years, not able to push back on authority figures and suffer the consequences if they do. This is happening because of a number of factors that have come together. This is why it is worse now. This isn't just, conservatives, the war on Christmas, and now it's the war on wokeness. No, this is a problem now because the left has the full-scale support, top to bottom, not only of the traditional corporate news media, and of academia, but now also of social media, which is a much more powerful tool for influencing opinions and minds than anything they've ever had before. They are programming us like gerbils all across the country. All right, like we just want to hit the pedal and get a few sips of water if we do the right thing. That's what social media is doing. These are addiction machines that are rewiring our brains to think a certain way. And very few people really have the ability to resist that quick serotonin hit from posting Black Lives Matter on their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever. It's such an easy way. We call it virtue signaling, but it's even more than that. It gives people a little jolt of easy, unearned joy, right? It's self-congratulation. It's, ooh, look at me. Yeah, everyone's going to think I'm great. And what do we have in response? Well, Milton Friedman and Friedrich Hayek and limited government. And look, those are brilliant men, and I've read their most important works, and I celebrate them, but it's not going to win this fight we're in right now. We need a moment here of clarity where we understand that if we don't start to actually organize ourselves, if we do not mimic the tactics of the left, we will lose. This will be a very different country. Now, when I say the tactics, I mean taking control of institutions, using the legal system on offense. We have to go on offense against the other side wherever we can. Now, that can be trying to establish a neutral space for ideas, but it also can be one that is explicitly conservative, patriotic, celebrates America, celebrates the American founding. And we need that in corporations, in schools, because trying to preserve this idea of the non-political space in America, we lost that battle. It's gone. There are no non-political spaces. Now it's all just a question of a vacuum. We've been trying to preserve a vacuum. No politics allowed here. Let's all just enjoy the big game. Let's all just be able to talk about the weather or sports teams or how all politicians are crooks. And whether you're a CEO or a street sweeper, you had some common ground. You were Americans. The left is destroying that. They have a hierarchy that they're putting in place. And they don't want anything to be non-political. So we can either start to meet them on that battlefield, or you're just going to see more and more of the purge. That's really what this is. People are being purged from public life, from institutions, from positions of power. And they're not going to tire of this on the other side. They're not going to stop. Do you want them to teach your 10-year-olds, if assuming your children are white or whatever, teach your 10-year-olds in general that whiteness is something to be ashamed of, or that white supremacy has infiltrated all of America? Do you want them teaching your children, if your children are black or Hispanic, that about whiteness and about their white peers? No. This is insidious. This is damaging to the fabric of our society. The left has gone mad. Trump broke them. You have to remember that. And we are dealing now with people who are unhinged. They're unhinged by Trump, by their adherence to Fauciism, and by being drunk with the power of institutions all across America now that bend to their will right away. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.